I'm going to keep it short and simple when it comes to the live series collections. Is it worth it to collect all 30 early on inside the game cycle? Absolutely not, but there are some teams that you're going to want to pick up now because they have insane value, and there is a certain way that you want to buy these cards that I'm going to discuss throughout the video. Another reason you might want to actually pick up some teams now is because usually MLB The Show also has a core collection reward, and if that reward is a very good card, then the prices of the live series cards will also inflate just a bit momentarily. So if you don't want to have that fear of missing out or fear of losing stubs by being forced to buy them at a little bit of an inflated price, it's best to knock out these teams now. The cheapest team you can go ahead and buy right now is going to be the Washington Nationals, but there is a certain method that you want to use when buying these cards. So for example, let's say I did not have Lane Thomas. I would go ahead and press square. I would press view in marketplace, and then I would see that if I wanted to buy him outright, which is what you don't want to do, I would spend 700 stubs on him. Instead, I see that he has no buy orders. Buy orders go on the right side, sell orders go on the left side. If I wanted to purchase him in order to add him towards the collection, what I would do is I would see first what is the minimum buy order that I can create. So I always suggest putting a 0 and then pressing finalize order. Actually, not a 0, excuse me. You should put a 1 and then pressing finalize order. Once you do that, MLB The Show will tell you what is the minimum you can create a buy order of that player. In this case, for Lane Thomas, it's going to be 600 stubs. So then you would put 600 stubs here, you would finalize that order, and then you would be the first person that someone looking to sell that Lane Thomas instantly inside of the community marketplace sells it to, and you would get it for the cheapest price possible, saving yourself 100 stubs. If you were to buy him outright, it'd be a little bit more expensive. And to just compare the prices, if you were to use that method that I just talked to you about, you would actually spend roughly under 2,000 stubs to complete this entire collection, as opposed to buying them outright and spending 3,500 stubs roughly to complete this collection. As we progress throughout the video, there's going to be certain tips I'm going to give you about certain teams or certain players in general that you're going to be able to apply to a lot more teams than the teams I discussed. But before we dive into that, make sure you hit that like button or subscribe button, notification bell to get more videos like this. Check out the description for the Twitch, second MLB The Show channel, and Discord channel, as well as social medias. Make sure you guys are following if you're not already. If you're going to do the create buy order process, the Colorado Rockies are roughly under 2,000 stubs. If you're going to outright buy them, then they're going to be around the same price as the Washington Nationals, which is going to be 3,500 stubs. Looking at the Oakland Athletics, if you go ahead and create buy orders for them, then they're going to be roughly 2,500 stubs. If you outright buy them, they're going to be roughly 4,000 stubs. And you might be saying to yourself, well, Blade, they don't even have a gold. Why are they a lot more expensive than those teams that have at least one gold and multiple silvers? Well, the game has a way, or the community has a way of policing those collections that don't have golds. Therefore, they make the cards that are silvers a lot more expensive than they need to be, in order to not make any collection just be a complete waste in terms, or not waste, but completely cheap, and where you don't get any stubs for picking up those cards. And that's the perfect example with the Oakland Athletics. Now, one thing I will add is going to apply to the next team we talk about more than Oakland Athletics. Chicago White Sox. If you go and do the create buy order process, it's roughly 2,500 stubs. If you go ahead and outright buy them, it's roughly 4,500 stubs. But there is something inside of this game called roster updates. And what happens during roster updates? Well, if a player is performing well, then they get their overall upgraded, and sometimes that causes their tier to also change. And what happens when your tier changes? Well, in general, when your overall changes, the minimum you can put to create a buy order increases, except for if you are a common or a low overall in terms of bronze, then they don't really change much at all. They stay the same price, which is 5 stubs for a common minimum buy order and 25 stubs for a bronze. And then once you get to silver, golds, and diamonds, that starts changing up a bit. But Luis Robert is the perfect example. He is currently an 84 overall. If he performs well, especially early on inside the game cycle, then he is going to become a diamond. When he becomes a diamond, his card is going to be more expensive, and therefore the collection is going to be a little bit more expensive. So I would highly suggest also knocking out teams that you believe have players that are going to perform well throughout the regular season in order to not have to buy them once those players do get upgraded. Tigers, creating buy orders, it's roughly 2,500 stubs. Outright buying is roughly 4,500 stubs. The reason I keep mentioning the outright buy price is if you got stubs like that and you don't really care and you just want to go ahead and spend them, blow them, then go ahead and outright buy them. You won't have to deal with other members of the community trying to get the card for the same cheap price, and you'll get them instantly instead of having to wait until it's eventually sold to you. But creating buy orders is better long term, and it's basically a waiting game since you're not necessarily looking to complete these collections now because we aren't anywhere near to getting a core collection reward. Knock on wood, just in case tomorrow they come out with the news. But let's talk about the White Sox, or excuse me, Tigers real quick. They have Tariq Skubal. Tariq Skubal is supercharged, and you might be saying, well, should I buy him now that he's supercharged? And you will see that once he got supercharged, his price was really high, and then it's been dropping. What's most likely going to happen is once his supercharge wears off, he will plummet back to his normal price over the next couple of days. So I would never go out of my way to buy a card that's supercharged. Instead, I would wait 2 to 3 days after it's been supercharged, and then I would go out of my way to create the buy order in order to get it for a lot cheaper than what it's currently selling for. Cincinnati Reds are up next, roughly 2,500 stubs, creating buy orders, and then outright buying them is going to be roughly 5,500 stubs. Boston Red Sox, creating buy orders, you're roughly going to get them for 4,000 stubs. Outright buying them roughly 6,000 stubs. Devers is similar to Luis Robert. He always starts the year off as a gold and then eventually becomes diamond. I don't know what they have against him, but I feel like Devers should be a diamond to start off the year, but we'll see. Pittsburgh Pirates, roughly 4,500 stubs, creating buy orders. Outright buying them is going to be roughly 6,500 stubs. Milwaukee Brewers, creating buy orders, roughly 5,000 stubs. Going ahead and outright buying them, roughly 7,500 stubs. So as you can see, as teams get a little bit more golds, they become a little bit more expensive, and the difference between creating buy orders and outright buying them starts becoming larger, and 2,000 stubs is a lot more than saving 500, 800, let's say. The Chicago Cubs are up next, roughly 6,000 stubs. If you create buy orders, if you're outright buying them, then they're roughly going to be around 8,500 stubs. Minnesota Twins, roughly 8,000 stubs, creating buy orders, and then outright buying them 10,000 stubs. The St. Louis Cardinals, now this is probably one of the most interesting teams here. Creating buy orders, they're going to be under 8,500, and then outright buying them around 10,500. We're going to focus on teams around the 10,000 stubs mark as our maximum here. The reason why I say they are interesting is because Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, they started off last year as a diamond, and then eventually they fell off to gold. If they get hot early on in the season because of the 3-year average and the history they have within the game of being diamonds, those guys will instantly become diamonds along with Tommy Edman. So this might also be a team similar to the Chicago White Sox where it would be smart to complete the collection now and then not have to worry about spending an extra 5,000 stubs in the future. San Francisco Giants, this is the first team we see a diamond in it, and diamonds and golds and any overall in general can get downgraded from their tier into the following bottom tier. So Blake Snell can go from a diamond to a gold. All it's going to take is him performing very poorly inside of the regular season. Outright buying the San Francisco Giants is roughly 10,500 stubs. If you create buy orders, it's roughly under 8,500. The Giants are going to be that final team we discuss around the 10,000 stubs mark, and those are the teams I think you should 100% go out of your way to take complete advantage of them. I'll actually give you guys even one more bonus one, and that is going to be the Kansas City Royals. Why? Because Bobby Witt Jr., the way he's currently playing, he could be a high tier diamond before we know it. And if he becomes a high tier diamond, he is currently selling for around 11,000 stubs, 9,000 stubs. I could easily see him inflate to around 15,000 stubs if he does become a high tier diamond. So he probably wants to knock out the Royals too early on. But besides that, I don't think that there's too many other teams that are going to give you great value. If you did end up enjoying today's content, please make sure you go ahead and hit that like button or subscribe button, notification bell. Check out the description for the Twitch, second MLB The Show channel, Discord, social medias. Make sure you guys are following. Let me know what you want to see next. Have a blessed day and night. Stay positive, stay safe, stay blessed. And I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.